Hello, I'm Deb Pearce, one of SAVEM's team leaders. The purpose of this training video is to outline safe fireground behaviour and emergency management terminology. A knowledge of both is essential for correct and safe fireground operational practice. SAVEM stands for South Australian Veterinary Emergency Management. This video forms part of the online training module which must be completed before acceptance into the SAVEM face-to-face training programme. The content has been chosen with the help and advice of the South Australian Country Fire Service, the CFS. It will be used as a refresher for existing volunteers at any time, at induction for all volunteers at the start of any SAVEM activation, and to inform personnel from other participating agencies who may join us in a response. This training is critically important. Knowledge and training are what will equip you to be safe and effective in the field during a SAVEM activation. The South Australian Government State Emergency Management Plan, known as the SEMP, is the legislated plan by which all emergencies in the state are managed. The SEMP comprises a series of functional support groups. PIRSA, Primary Industries and Regions SA, leads the Agriculture and Animal Services Functional Support Group, often simply called AAS. The next layer down comprises participating agencies, and SAVEM is one of these. So that explains where we fit into the bigger picture. In this video, we'll examine 10 specific topics to help prepare you for what lies ahead. Remember, SAVEM standard operating procedures, SOPs, and policy manuals cover a wide range of material that is beyond the scope of this video. So let's get started. The Control Agency. The CFS is the control agency for bushfire and has a duty of care for everyone on the fireground. Other response agencies supporting the control agency include SAPOL, SES, MFS, SAS, and so on. All of these agencies work to the precepts set by the control agency. There are a limited number of agencies which are permitted into the affected area while the fire is uncontrolled. SAVEM is not one of these, nor are any other AAS participating agencies such as the RSPCA, AWL, or Primary Producers SA. The hierarchy of priorities. The three-step hierarchy in CFS principles apply throughout the emergency event duration. The hierarchy of priorities is always protection of human life, protection of property, and protection of the environment more broadly. This hierarchy is not negotiable. Life, property, environment. There are three protection priorities, the first being protection of human life. This means actions are never undertaken where human life, including that of the emergency responders, is put at risk for any of the protection goals below. The second is the protection of property. This is asset protection. Protecting infrastructure will assist communities and property owners during the response and recovery phase of an emergency. Livestock, horses and companion animals can be property, and primary producers may request asset protection of their livestock rather than infrastructure such as sheds or houses. Finally, the protection of the environment. The environment more broadly sits last in the hierarchy and can include wildlife, vegetation and all other aspects of the natural environment. SAVEM exists within the AAS functional support group to, number 1, permit the control agency to concentrate on its primary task, fighting the fire. 2, to apply specialised professional skills to manage animals present and/or affected by the emergency event. Number 3, to assist animal owners as appropriate. And 4, support PIRSA if requested, to assist with management of affected livestock. SAVEM personnel must not place themselves in danger. This could divert a control agency crew from its primary role. Remember, you cannot save every animal. The status of a bushfire. The CFS uses consistent terminology to describe the status of a fire. This helps everyone clearly understand the stage of the fire in a single word. The fire status hierarchy is going, contained, controlled, complete, and safe. Going means any fire expanding in a certain direction. Contained means the fire spread has been stopped, but it may still be burning freely within control lines. Controlled means the complete perimeter of a fire is secured and the fire is not expected to break away. Complete means the incident is secured and there is no further need for CFS involvement. Safe means the CFS considers no further action or patrols are necessary. It is important to remember these states are not necessarily sequential. It is quite possible that a weather change may result in a controlled state reverting to a contained state. SAVEM has, when appropriate, and at the discretion of the CFS incident controller, been given access to parts of the fireground at the controlled stage. We have also been ordered out of the fireground by the CFS incident controller when the state changes. SAVEM personnel within the fireground should report any areas of concern up the SAVEM chain of command. SAVEM personnel are present on the fireground only with the permission of the CFS and must follow their directives. Remember, you are representing SAVEM, and your actions contribute to our reputation and credibility. SAVEM access. Access to the fireground by other agencies, including SAVEM, is entirely the decision of the CFS incident controller. The IC may grant permission at contained, controlled, or safe stages, and may impose conditions, such as limiting access to selected parts of the affected area, reporting to CFS sector commanders and gaining their approval for that part of the fireground, requiring an approved communications plan for scheduled calls. There is no place for individual volunteers to self-activate into the fireground at any stage. Only personnel in an organisation operating under the control agency will be permitted access. Officers from the RSPCA and the AWL, who are also participating agencies, may collaboratively join a SAVEM response. The briefing. The SAVEM commander will attend a briefing at the CFS Incident Control Centre. Access and a communications plan will be established and mapping support received. The SAVEM commander will brief the team leaders, with or without their teams, to deploy resources to suit the animal species and the expected conditions in the fireground. SAVEM's training and plan is in accordance with the Australasian Inter-Service Incident Management System, AIMS. Being familiar with this system, commonly used in emergency services in Australia, including the CFS, means that interagency communication is clear and concise. SAVEM in-field briefing. The SAVEM commander will brief teams before deployment, including documenting the team org chart, which describes clear responsibilities for each SAVEM team member. Medical and communication plans and mapping will be supplied. The SAVEM planning team will prepare an action plan, AP, for each day of the activation. The SAVEM logistics officer will ensure adequate resources are available, and the SAVEM operations officer and field teams prepare for mobilisation into the field. The briefing will be in the SMEACS format, stressing the need for dynamic risk assessment and intra-team support and safety. Report any incidents up the chain of command immediately. Remember, you are representing SAVEM and your actions contribute to our reputation and credibility. Refer to SAVEM SOP and policy manuals for all operational matters. Personal preparedness. SAVEM volunteers in field operate to CFS standards of behaviour and readiness. Note the word volunteer. Do not commit yourself to any activity which your own resources cannot realistically support. SAVEM aims to reimburse out-of-pocket expenses, such as fuel and phones, but this is not always possible. When you set out on a SAVEM activation, make sure your own family and animals are safe. Ensure that you are aware of your personal physical and psychological capacities, such as physical fitness and medical conditions, the ability to deal with confronting and emotive situations, the ability to work in hot, remote and challenging conditions where ambient weather can change suddenly. Personal protective equipment, PPE, and personal protective clothing, PPC, are essential. SAVEM can supply some PPE and PPC, such as the red SAVEM overalls. For personal hygiene reasons, we recommend including your own PPE, masks, gloves, goggles and hard hat in your to-go kit, which should be maintained all year round. You will need to sign for and maintain your SAVEM overalls and return them at the end of your deployment. You must carry your SAVEM photographic ID card at all times. No photo ID, no access to the fireground. You will need to have your own CFS recommended boots for personal comfort and protection in fireground conditions. Field team priorities include team well-being, ensuring maintenance of hydration levels, and being prepared to operate for several hours without returning to base. SAVEM policy is to rest teams after 3 hours in the field. Always work in a team, never alone, and look out for each other. SAVEM is in the field on fireground in daylight hours only, although off-fireground tasks such as restocking vehicles commonly takes place after dark. When your shift ends, leave. You will need to rest, no attending to SAVEM work on the way home. SAVEM vehicle. SAVEM has 3 field response vehicles, permanently fitted for use. SAVEM policy for operating vehicles on the fireground include permanently in 4-wheel drive when off bitumen road, headlights and rooftop beacon lights on and operating at all times, continuous monitoring of available communications. This could include GRN radio, UHF radio, mobile phone or satellite phone. Handheld UHF radios are supplied by WISEN, Wireless Institute Civil Emergency Network, a participating agency in the SEMP, supporting the control agency. SAVEM vehicles are equipped with basic first aid, safety equipment and drinking water. The vehicle should be inspected to ensure all is complete before departure and restocked at the end of the operational period, or more often if necessary. Fireground safety. Firegrounds are extremely dangerous places. Undesirable outcomes are usually caused by a chain of many small avoidable errors. Work accordingly to your training and never make assumptions. If you aren't sure, always speak up and ask. Later, you'll learn about dynamic risk assessment and the concept of hurry up and wait, or don't just do something, stand there. Practicing the following 5 priorities will keep you and your teammates safe and well. Priority 1 is situational awareness. At all times, be very aware of the environment in which you are operating. There are many hazards in the fireground. Protection of human life is always the highest priority. For example, where the SAVEM commander has ordered no entry to dangerous areas for safety reasons, this must be complied with. SAVEM has zero tolerance of volunteers entering dangerous areas that have been declared out of bounds. You must accept that not all animal refuge areas may be searchable, and not every animal can be saved. Maintain situational awareness and watch out for reignition of fire, burning within tree trunks, burning underground in roots. Surface indicators include white ash, a crust of ash concealing hot, smouldering cavities beneath. Do not step out of the vehicle without first checking for danger. Do not leave your vehicle without the permission of your team leader. Do not progress across ground without continuously monitoring your own and your team's safety. Be situationally aware. Falling trees. Do not enter burnt forest areas. Use SAVEM's thermal imaging camera from open ground instead. Burned buildings. Do not enter burned buildings, which can be unstable and may contain hazardous materials, for example, asbestos, toxic gases, or bottled gas. Be aware of power supplies and treat all downed power lines as live. Report downed power lines up the chain of command. Terrain. Ground conditions can be hazardous or inaccessible for vehicles or personnel. After rain, firegrounds can become very slippery. Act conservatively. It will not be appreciated if you need to be rescued by another crew who have their own assigned tasks to carry out. Do not assume that a rescue crew would be immediately available. Your safety, your responsibility. Priority 2 is multiple escape paths. At all times, have at least 2 routes available for escape. Even where a fireground status is controlled, a fire outbreak can compromise the path used to enter the area. Have a safe area identified should local circumstances change. Priority 3 is dynamic risk assessment. Both as an individual and as a team activity, carry out an ongoing dynamic risk assessment. Protection of human life is the highest priority. Act for your own safety and have continuous awareness of the safety of other team members. Watch out for each other so as to stay hydrated and take short time-out breaks if necessary. Priority number 4 is never work alone. At all times, have other team members, a team vehicle, or a communication base in sight. Limit search areas to these principles. Psychological first aid training benefits you and the people you will assist on fireground. But if something distresses you, talk to your colleagues and your team leader. And finally, priority number 5 is, if in doubt, act conservatively. Retreat to a safe area and communicate. In summary, the highest priority is protection of human life. This means that the safety of SAVEM volunteers is our highest priority at all times. SAVEM volunteers are encouraged to watch this video as a refresher from time to time. If you decide to continue SAVEM training, please register at savem.org.au and regularly check the SAVEM training calendar. Thank you for your attention.